What's going on YouTube? I know it's been a while since I made a video, and unfortunately for the people that do follow me for my content or the how-tos that I have done in the past, you might be a little upset with me, but I have done quite a lot since I made a last video, which has been about 8 months. I actually boosted the car, so I've done quite a bit. I'll show you what I've done and try to walk you through what struggles I had and what I had to do. Before I even got my turbo stuff, really, I started working on some of the interior stuff. I put gauges up. I went with glow shift gauges. I know they're a little cheaper, and I kind of regret the wideband now because I'm having issues with it, but the boost gauge works fine. I painted a little column, wired everything in up here using a ADA circuit into the fuse box right here underneath the column. Here's all the stuff for the glow shift wideband. It doesn't really work properly though, so I'm probably gonna either get an AEM one or return this one, see if they can repair it. I'm not really sure what's going on. Also, before I even got my kit, I decided to go ahead and move the battery out of the way. So here's where the battery used to be, and you can see the power cable ran it all the way through down through the firewall. It goes inside the car, came out underneath here. There's a panel right here that you can come through. Goes underneath the car all the way back through the rear seats, and as you can see right here, comes out. I have a inline fuse, 150 amp I believe it is, and then I made a battery box back here that's got tie downs. It's bolted securely, everything's good to go. I added 2 grounds to the battery, one all the way back to the transmission, and then I grounded another one right here back behind the seat. So a lot of people suggest doing that, so I went ahead and did that. After I got the gauges and the battery moved, wired in, I went ahead and purchased the kit. As you can see here, I went with a CX Racing kit. I know a lot of people may bash you for that, but I expect to replace parts, especially the wastegate, probably the turbos soon. Everything else though worked out pretty well. I did have some issues with the intercooler piping. It just didn't seem to line up very well. I did have to make a lot of modifications, like down in the fender well area down there. I had to cut out a piece. Definitely had to make room with the intercooler up in the front. Had to shave a lot of the bumper off, and then, you know, even the blow-off valve kind of sits a little funky right next to the rail right over here. And then I don't know if it's because I have the RBC manifold or not, but I had to add a small little section right here to get it to even remotely line up right. As far as the manifold goes, it had pretty good fitment. It's probably pretty hard to see back here already though. You can tell I've already wrapped everything. Wastegate position's not too terrible. For anybody that's wondering about boost creep on this manifold, I'm only running the wastegate spring at 8 pounds and I'm not having any issues, so I guess that's good, but I've heard people do have problems with boost creep on K20s with these type of manifolds, but so far so good. It definitely is very, very tight back here with the downpipe and dump tube on. You can see there's 2 heater hoses right there. I kind of rerouted and wrapped. I'm kind of nervous that eventually one's going to melt through though. I think I need to rewrap them already, unfortunately. So, as you can see, it's really tight back there, especially with the dump tube and the downpipe. Also, I'm not the biggest fan of the placement of this O2 sensor right here for the wideband that I added. I think it's a little too close to the turbo housing. Maybe that's why I'm getting improper readings with the glow shift wideband. I'm not really sure. I also had a lot of fitment issues with the air filter tube that came with the kit. Normally it should go, you know, right off the turbo housing and come over this way. However, I had problems with the radiator hoses. I had problems with throttle cables. Again, I'm not sure if it's something to do with the RBC manifold pushing everything kind of this way a little bit, or, you know, twisting it a little bit, but I just went ahead and ran a screen. I had an extra little coupling that I cut down to fit over the turbo, and just I'm running a screen for now. I did put the air intake sensor just like right in front of where it is actually intaking, so I guess that's as accurate as I can get for now. Other than that though, I did run the boost gauge vacuum line through the firewall back here where that blue cable comes through the firewall right there. It comes out, runs up behind the brake reservoir here, and comes out, tees off to the blow-off valve down here, and then the other tee actually goes back to the manifold. I got 3 vacuum ports underneath the manifold tapped. One's for the brake booster line, which is right here. It comes down. I added a inline check valve to prevent any type of backflow pressure to the brake booster, and then it plugs in underneath the manifold like right about here. I have 2 more vacuum lines. One goes to the blow-off valve. The other vacuum line cuts over and connects right here to the fuel pressure regulator. For all my fuel systems, I went with all D-Works stuff. I have a D-Works fuel pressure regulator. I have D-Works 1000cc injectors. I have a D-Works 265 pump that I added into the fuel pump. I did run a return system on this, so I actually changed the fuel pump. I wish I could have shown you guys that, but I added a return there. I changed the current feed, actually. Let's see if I can show you that. Right there where it connects. That's now the return, and I added a new line for the feed, which comes, down underneath the car and then comes up over right here and then into the rail. Now the rail returns back to the fuel pressure regulator, and then that goes back to the original feed line, which is now my return line. So a little complicated, but I've seen other people run it like that on the forums. As far as the oil feed line for the turbo itself, the kit came with a pretty long line. It goes all the way down here around, and then I actually have it run back underneath the manifold all the way over to the oil pressure sensor back here. And it tees in with a Acuity, I think is what it's called, Acuity cube. It's made specifically, I guess, for the K series. It lets you plug in the pressure sensor to it, and then it has 3 separate ports that you can add extra feed lines or sensors to if you needed to. As far as the drain goes, you're not going to be able to really see that, but I do have AN fitting drain right there. You can see the 90-degree elbow down. I did have the oil pan tapped with a AN fitting because I didn't want any problems with leaking. I am running the coolant for the turbo. It was suggested to if you can. So I have the in and out running down. I just teed them into the throttle coolant system right here. So there's one line right there, and then the other line comes underneath and plugs into the throttle. So it's like just one big circle with the throttle body coolant system. I did have it tuned at Millennium Racing Development. It's here in Virginia. They did a pretty good job. It made 327 wheel horsepower and 242 foot-pounds of torque. And again, that's just on the wastegate spring, which is 8 pounds. I tried to buy a GFB bleed valve. However, my tuner said it wasn't working properly. So perhaps I got a faulty one, I'm not sure. I know they're a pretty good company over in Australia, but apparently it didn't work for my application. Some issues that I've already had since I've finished building the kit. The wastegate bolts, the ones that go around the top hat of it, were so loose that 2 of them backed out and I was completely missing them. And I'm glad I noticed it, but I went to Home Depot and bought a new set of bolts and just went ahead and matched them all around. On top of that, I did have my wastegate bolts start to back out actually at the dyno. I'm glad I noticed that also, because we had to tighten that right on the fly. And then the turbo housing bolt started actually backing out one day. I noticed it was about a 1/4 inch backed out, just that one right there. Also, be very mindful and careful of your wiring harness. I wrapped the crap out of it all the way up here, and then I actually forgot to zip tie it or keep it away from this manifold right here where the turbo connects. Lo and behold, it touched right here somewhere to that bolt on the turbo and melted 2 of my wires together, killed the whole car. That was the first day I went to go drive it. So I'm sure there's some other things that I can think about, and I might make another video of an update, or if anything I've changed, like the wastegate or the blow off valve or the turbo in the future. But if you have any other questions about it, just let me know in the comments below and I'll try to help you out. As far as the CX Racing kit in general, most of it's pretty good. The intercooler is definitely nice. The piping is a little iffy. Like I said, I had a little problems getting it to line up right. Turbo, so far it's holding up. I think I've have probably close to 1,000 miles on it already. So far so good. Wastegate, a lot of people say, do you really want to run a crappy wastegate? And K-Pro also has a boost cut in it, so I guess that's a good thing too. But I will probably be replacing that soon. I might get a Precision or a Turbo Smart wastegate to replace that. But again, if you guys got any questions, let me know in the comments below and I'll be happy to try to answer them. Appreciate you guys watching, and sorry I didn't show you the content of actually putting it all together. I just wasn't feeling recording, taking the time to slow it down just to do all the recording on it. Anyways guys, again, thanks for watching. Guess I'll catch you guys on the next video. Have a good one, guys.